Prologue. Can my voice really come back? 63-year-old Chairman Robert Stone scribbled hurriedly in his notebook. His hand trembled, making the letters crooked. Yes, Grandpa, your voice is still inside you. It's just hiding, that's all. 8-year-old Emma's clear voice filled the study. Robert shook his head. For 3 years, he'd seen dozens of doctors. And they all said it was impossible. Psychogenic mutism. His body was fine, but the psychological shock had stolen his voice. But Emma smiled brightly and said, "I'll make friends with your voice, Grandpa. Then it'll come back out." That day, no one knew that this little girl was about to completely change Robert's life. Chapter 1: The Silent Mansion. Pacific Heights, San Francisco. A grand Victorian mansion beautifully restored. Emma and her mother, Grace, stood outside the gate. It was their first day at the new job. "Emma, honey, you need to be on your best behavior. This is a very important person's home." "Yes, Mom." When the gate opened, they were struck by the silence. Despite the mansion's size, there was barely any sound of people. "Welcome, I'm Charles, the estate manager." A man in his early 60s came out to greet them. His expression was stern. "Hello, I'm Grace. Let's go meet Mr. Stone." "But, is this your son?" "My daughter. I had no one to watch her." Charles's face grew even more rigid. When they opened the study door, they saw an elderly man sitting with his back to the window. Robert Stone, once one of the most prominent construction company CEOs in America. But now, "Mr. Stone, this is Grace, the new household manager." Robert just nodded. His mouth remained firmly closed. "It's a pleasure to meet you, sir." Grace greeted him, but Robert held up his notebook. "Just do your job well." The writing was cold and brief. That's when Emma started staring intently at Robert. "Emma, that's rude." Grace tried to stop her in embarrassment, but Emma kept observing Robert. Robert frowned and wrote in his notebook. "What's wrong, Grandpa?" Emma spoke up. "I can help you find your voice, Grandpa." The study froze. Robert's hand trembled. He scrawled in his notebook. "What did you say?" "Your voice. It's still inside you, Grandpa." Grace's face turned white as a sheet. "Emma, I'm so sorry, Mr. Stone. She's just a child." But Robert couldn't take his eyes off Emma. 3 years. He hadn't spoken for 3 years. World-renowned doctors had given up. And now an 8-year-old said she could find his voice? Robert wrote carefully in his notebook. "If you succeed, I'll give you 10% of my company shares." Grace's breath caught. 10% meant billions of dollars. "Emma, you can't say things like that." But Emma smiled brightly and said, "Really? Then I'll do it." Emma's voice was full of confidence. Chapter 2: The Reason for Silence. After Emma and Grace left, Robert was alone. He ran his hand over his throat. It was perfectly fine. His vocal cords were normal, his tongue worked properly. But no words would come out. In Robert's mind, that day from 3 years ago came flooding back. 3 years ago, at a company construction site. "Mr. Stone, there seems to be a problem with the formwork on the 11th floor." "What?" "I'll check it myself." Robert always prioritized the site. He hated managing only through paperwork. When he climbed to the 11th floor construction site, "Mr. Stone, it's dangerous." A deafening roar as the formwork collapsed. "Ah!" The workers' screams. Robert saw it clearly. Right before his eyes, 3 workers fell. One of them shouted, "Mr. Stone, save me." But Robert couldn't do anything. All 3 died instantly. "Mr. Stone, Mr. Stone." When he came to, he was in the hospital. "Fortunately, you weren't injured, Mr. Stone," the doctor said with relief. But Robert knew. He was deeply injured. He tried to open his mouth, but no voice came out. "Mr. Stone, are you experiencing any discomfort?" He wanted to speak, but no voice came. The detailed examination results were shocking. Physically, there's nothing wrong at all. It appears to be psychogenic mutism. Psychogenic? A speech disorder caused by psychological trauma. Your body is fine, but you can't speak. Can it be treated? Well, you'd need psychological therapy. You'd have to overcome the trauma yourself. 3 years had passed, but still no voice returned. Losing his voice wasn't simply about not being able to speak. He couldn't voice his opinions in meetings. He couldn't tell his grandson he loved him. When he was angry, he couldn't yell. And when he was happy, he couldn't laugh and speak. Gradually, he grew distant from people. Communicating only through writing didn't convey sincerity. My voice will never come back. Robert believed that, but today, that little child said, I can help you find your voice. Could it really be possible? A small hope began to sprout in Robert's heart. Chapter 3: The Method to Find a Voice. The next morning, Emma knocked on Robert's study door. Grandpa, it's me. The door opened. Robert stood holding his notebook. What is it? I want to start finding your voice. Emma smiled brightly. Robert tilted his head. Emma pulled out a notebook from her small bag. It was her father's psychology notebook. My dad used to say that people who lose their voice are hurting inside. Robert wrote in his notebook. I know. Psychogenic mutism. Right. So we just need to heal your heart. Doctors couldn't fix it. Doctors only look at bodies. I'm going to look at your heart. Emma took Robert's hand. Grandpa, try talking to your voice. To my voice? Yes. Your voice is part of your body too. Talk to it like a friend. Robert looked incredulous. Every morning, try saying, hello, voice, like a greeting. That's ridiculous. It's worth trying. You have nothing to lose. Robert hesitated for a long while. But seeing Emma's earnest eyes, it was hard to refuse. Try it now. Robert took a deep breath. Then he pointed to his throat. He moved his lips. No sound came out, but his mouth formed the word, hello. Louder, like you're really greeting a friend. Robert opened his mouth wide again. Hello, voice. Still no sound, but he felt something strange. As if something stirred somewhere in his throat. Robert touched his throat with a surprised expression. Did you feel something? Emma asked with anticipation in her eyes. Robert slowly nodded. Really? Wow, your voice answered. Probably imagination. No, try it every day, every morning. Greet your voice, and at night say, thank you for today. Robert was skeptical, but decided to follow Emma's advice. Chapter 4: Small Changes. A week passed. Every morning when Robert woke up, he placed his hand on his throat and mouthed a greeting. Hello, voice. Please take care of me today. At first it was awkward, but it gradually became familiar. And something strange happened. One morning, when he tried to cough, a small sound came out. Ahem. It was the first sound in 3 years. Robert was startled and coughed again. Ahem, ahem. There was sound. Definitely sound. Robert urgently called for Emma. He rang the bell loudly. Grandpa, what's wrong? Emma came running. Robert excitedly scrawled in his notebook. I made a sound. A coughing sound. Really? Let me hear. Robert coughed again. Ahem, ahem. Wow, there's sound. Grandpa, your voice is waking up. Emma jumped with joy. Grace came running too. What happened? I made a coughing sound. Grace looked incredulous. Mr. Stone, who hadn't made any sound for 3 years. Mr. Stone, that's wonderful. From that day on, Robert worked even harder. Every morning he greeted his voice and practiced coughing. Starting with coughs, he moved on to practicing sounds. Ah, it was a very small sound, but definitely there. Oh, ooh. Emma clapped beside him. Grandpa, you're amazing. You'll be able to talk soon. Chapter 5: Wavering Faith. After 2 weeks, the atmosphere in the mansion changed. But not all in a good way. The longtime staff began whispering. Isn't it strange? Ever since that child came, Mr. Stone has changed. Right, something's suspicious. What if they're after his fortune? Come on, an 8-year-old? The mother must have put her up to it. To win Mr. Stone's favor. The rumors spread quickly, especially Margaret, the head housekeeper, who'd worked there for 20 years, led the charge. Charles, this is a serious problem. What do you mean? That mother and daughter are using Mr. Stone, an 8-year-old curing mutism? Does that make sense? But Mr. Stone actually made sounds. That's even stranger. They must have faked something. A few days later, Margaret went to see Robert. What is it, Mr. Stone? I'm sorry, but I need to say something. Robert nodded. Grace and Emma, could they have ulterior motives? What do you mean? You promised them 10% of the company. What if they're after that? Robert's expression hardened. Forgive me, but for an 8-year-old to cure what doctors couldn't. It's not reasonable. Stop. Robert wrote large in his notebook. But Mr. Stone, leave. After Margaret left, Robert sat alone and thought. Are they really deceiving me? The seeds of doubt began to grow. That night, Robert called for Emma. Grandpa, you wanted to see me? Emma came in with a bright smile. Robert held out his notebook. Can my voice really come back? Yes, it's getting better little by little. But I still can't speak. It takes time. Wounds of the heart heal slowly. Robert watched Emma for a long time. Then he wrote in his notebook. You're not deceiving me, are you? Emma's expression hardened. Grandpa, why would I deceive you? People say you're after my money. That's not true. Tears welled up in Emma's eyes. I really just want to help you, Grandpa. Like my dad. But Robert shook his head. Sorry, but it's hard to believe. Grandpa, let's stop this. I'll find you a place to live. Now leave. No, I will find your voice, Grandpa. Emma cried out through tears. I said leave. Robert threw his notebook. Emma ran out crying. Grace rushed over in shock. Emma, what happened? Mom, Grandpa doesn't trust us. Grace's heart ached. That night, mother and daughter packed their bags. Mom, do we really have to go? Yes. If we stay, you'll just suffer more, Emma. But Grandpa's voice. Emma, honey, no matter how much we want to help, if he doesn't trust us, it's pointless. Chapter 6 The Voice of Truth. The next morning, Robert woke up as usual. Out of habit, he placed his hand on his throat and opened his mouth. Hello, voice. But something was wrong. The subtle vibration he'd felt until yesterday was gone. Robert tried again. Voice. No response. Why? Robert panicked. And realized. Because I drove Emma away. No, that wasn't it. Because I gave up. Emma's words came back to him. If Grandpa doesn't believe, your voice will hide again. Robert quickly threw on clothes and ran into the hallway. He rushed to Emma's room. When he opened the door, it was empty. They'd already left. No. Robert ran to the entrance. He stumbled going down the stairs but didn't fall. Grace and Emma were loading luggage into a taxi. Robert waved his arms and approached. Mr. Stone. Charles ran over in surprise. Robert stood before Emma, and he opened his mouth. It was a small sound. Grandpa? Emma's eyes widened. Robert used all his strength to speak. Sorry. It was the first word in 3 years. Grandpa, you're speaking. Sorry, I'm. His voice trembled. It was hoarse from long disuse, but it was definitely speech. Emma, don't go. Tears flowed from Robert's eyes. I believe you. I'm sorry. Emma started crying too. Grandpa, your voice came back. Robert hugged Emma tightly. Thank you. Thank you so much. All the staff around them stood with their mouths open in shock. It was a miracle after 3 years. Chapter 7 A New Beginning. From that day on, Robert practiced speaking every day. At first, only words were possible. Water. Good. Thank you. After a week, he could speak short sentences. Emma, beautiful weather today. Grace, thank you for your hard work. After a month, he could converse almost normally. Charles, is the meeting ready? Yes, Mr. Stone. Everything's prepared. All the staff were amazed. Especially Margaret, who sincerely apologized to Emma and Grace. I'm truly sorry. Because of my prejudice. It's okay. Emma smiled brightly. One evening, Robert called Emma over. Emma, Grandpa made a promise, didn't I? What? If you found my voice, I'd give you 10% of the company. Oh, that. My lawyer prepared the documents. I'm officially giving it to you. Grandpa, I didn't do it for the money. Emma shook her head. I know, but a promise is a promise. And, Robert looked at Grace. Grace, how about becoming part of our family? What, would you be Emma's mother? Officially, I mean. Tears welled up in Grace's eyes. But I need family too, and Emma needs a grandfather. Robert smiled warmly. Let's become a real family. Epilogue 1 year later. Grandpa, I won an award at school. Emma came running, shouting. Really? I'm so proud of you, my granddaughter. Robert smiled brightly and hugged Emma. Now his voice had completely returned. In fact, it had become brighter and warmer than before. Robert resumed managing the company. But it was different from before. He talked more with employees and listened to the construction workers' stories. And he established a rehabilitation center for people who lost their voice. Speech is not simply a means of communication. It's a tool for expressing the heart. Robert gave a speech at the opening ceremony. I want to help people who lost their voice due to psychological wounds, like I did, to find their voice again. Emma and Grace watched with proud expressions. In the evening, the three of them ate dinner together. Grandpa, I gave a presentation at school today. What about career aspirations? I'm going to help sick people like you, Grandpa. That's wonderful, Emma. Robert stroked Emma's hair. Grandpa, but I'm really curious about something. What? When your voice first came back, why did you say, sorry, to me? Robert thought for a moment. Well, that was what Grandpa wanted to say most. Why? I wanted to say sorry to those who died in the accident, to their families, and to you, Emma. Emma held Robert's hand. But now you can say it. Yes, thanks to you. The three people's warm dinner continued. An old man who lost his voice, the girl who found it for him, and the mother who brought them together. It was the happy story of three people who became a real family. The end.